What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from Taipei. There's been a surge in Chinese military activity around Taiwan, with dozens of planes spotted near the country in the last 24 hours. It comes after China strongly condemned Canada for sailing a warship through the Taiwan Strait. Rick Lauert is following the details from our newsroom in Taipei. Rick, what's the Defense Ministry saying about all this?
So a flurry of Chinese military activity, 41 planes reported, 28 of those in Taiwan's air defense identification zone, and 17 of them in an area southwest of Taiwan. This is, of course, where that Canadian warship sailed on Sunday. The Taiwan Strait is an international waterway, but China says that Taiwan, and therefore the Strait, is part of its territory, and it often hits out for other countries operating in the region. No big surprise then, Beijing reacted angrily to Canada's transit, accusing it of deliberately stirring up trouble and undermining stability. Taiwan, on the other hand, welcomed Canada's move, saying that it was a show of support for peace and openness. Transit by friendly countries like this are important for Taiwan. They help it to rebuke China's claims over its territory and show that it is its own country with its own territory.
And all of this happens as the United States sent a signal that its position on Taiwan and its sovereignty may be shifting. It's updated the text of the Taiwan section on the State Department website. So what exactly have they changed?
So some subtle but significant changes. Significantly, the text, "We do not support Taiwan independence," has been removed. And this, of course, comes as everyone is watching how the new Trump administration will deal with China and the Taiwan issue. China and Taiwan exist in a delicate status quo where Taiwan says it is already a separate country and therefore doesn't need to formally declare its independence. And whilst the US does not recognize Taiwan in this way, it is Taiwan's most important international backer, providing it with the weapons it needs to counter the China threat and helping voice support for it on the international stage. But Washington is also usually very, very cautious about overly antagonizing Beijing on this issue and avoiding doing anything that would suggest that it recognizes Taiwan as an independent nation. This is, of course, a red line for China and a major sticking point between China and the US as they enter into another round of trade wars. The US was keen to downplay this change, saying it's just a matter of a routine update. But we can expect an angry response from Beijing, putting more pressure on those already strained US-China ties.
Thanks, Rick. That was Rick Lauert live in Taipei. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that he is ready and willing to send UK troops to Ukraine to help ensure its security. His comments come as key players hold separate talks to end the now 3-year-long war there. Rosie Granger reports.
Speaking at a security conference in Munich, J.D. Vance, the new US Vice President, was expected to focus on Russia's war in Ukraine. But instead, he took a swing at Europe.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values.
Among other things, Vance accused Europe of suppressing free speech, while defending his country's choice to engage directly with Russia, as US President Donald Trump pushes to end the Ukraine war. The unexpected approach leaving Europe scrambling to safeguard its own interests, with French President Emmanuel Macron calling for an emergency leaders summit in Paris to discuss the continent's security.
Il y a un vent d'unité qui souffle sur l'Europe tel qu'on ne l'avait peut-être pas ressenti depuis la période Covid.
The crisis talks come as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio prepares to lead an American delegation to meet with Russian representatives in Saudi Arabia. The two groups say they will begin peace talks on the almost 3-year war in Ukraine, but they didn't invite the country to participate in negotiations. Also left out, leaders of Ukraine's European neighbours, who have been pressing to be involved. The US has played down their concerns of being sidelined, saying the talks are only in its early stages. Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to begin these negotiations during a phone call with US President Donald Trump last week.
If at any point in time there's an opportunity to continue the work that President Trump started last week to begin to create an opening for a broader conversation, that it would involve Ukraine and would involve the end of the war and would involve our allies all over the world, particularly in Europe, we're going to explore it if that opportunity presents itself.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made it clear he will not accept the outcome of any negotiations that don't involve Ukraine. But this has not affected the US's course of action.
The United States wants to retreat from international organizations, so it is weakening structures of international order. It has questioned international rules. And at the same time, it wants to be a player in major difficult situations. And Russia's war on Ukraine is one of those situations that the US has picked to say we will be a key player here to end this war.
But with US support dwindling, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for the creation of European armed forces to help protect his country, as President Trump touts an in-person meeting with his Russian counterpart very soon. Ukraine and Europe are left scrambling for independent guarantees of security. Devon Tsai and Rosie Granger for TaiwanPlus.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has praised U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to move Palestinians out of Gaza as, quote, the only viable plan to enable a different future for the region.
If people want to leave, if they want to emigrate, it's their choice. And I think President Trump's plan is right on the dot.
Netanyahu discussed the plan with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is visiting the Middle East. Rubio is likely to face more pushback from Arab leaders over Trump's proposal to redevelop Gaza. The UN chief has condemned the plan as ethnic cleansing. Also during Rubio's meeting with Netanyahu, the two vowed to counter Iran's nuclear ambitions. Inspections are being carried out in department stores across the central city of Taichung following a suspected gas explosion at a shopping center last Friday. That blast killed 4 people and injured several others, including a toddler. As John Van Trieste reports, the inspections have already turned up a string of safety issues.
Inspectors with gas detectors combed this kitchen at a department store food court in Taichung, searching for the sort of leak thought to be behind a deadly blast at another shopping center in the city last week, the Shinkong Mitsukoshi department store. In all, 6 local department stores are getting checks, and it hasn't taken long to find possible dangers. Here, they found a rusty gas connector with signs of leakage. They've shut the gas off just in case. And here, more cause for concern, this time in the electrical wiring department. Department stores where problems are found face fines if they don't fix them. But the city says there are limits to what it can do to enforce safety rules. The blast at the Shinkong Mitsukoshi may be linked to illegal renovation work going on at the time. And officials say with no one blowing the whistle, they had no way of knowing about potential violations.
我们真的没有办法透过内部的网页跟它相关的一些脸书里面的相关的消费者去知道所有的有没有施工或迁移的公告。
That doesn't mean there won't be consequences for the Shinkong Mitsukoshi store's owners. In addition to fines, they're paying over $330,000 for each of the 4 people killed in the blast, 2 staff members and 2 passers-by. And they've already paid the 30-plus injured people compensation. Injured staff members, though, worry about the future. The shopping center is their livelihood. It's not only shut down indefinitely, but also heavily damaged from the explosion.
我们会担心，但是因为星光三月他们也有保证说，就是他后续的工作。
Any reopening will be far off, though, as investigators still try to piece together how the disaster happened and who in the end is responsible. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Divers have found 8 body parts and a suspected human bone in a canal in southern Taiwan in a search for 3 missing women believed to have been killed and dismembered in a serial murder. A bag of clothing was also recovered. A total of 62 pieces of human remains have been found, some of which match 2 of the victims' DNA. A 73-year-old suspect has been detained in connection with these murders. Intel's chip-making rivals TSMC and Broadcom are reportedly each studying potential deals to take over the U.S. tech giant's business, which has been struggling for years. California-headquartered Broadcom's interest in Intel was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. This comes after rumors that Washington is pushing Taiwan's TSMC to work with Intel. TSMC's lion's share of the global advanced chip-making sector is seen as a crucial part of Taiwan's defense and its ability to work with other countries. TSMC told TaiwanPlus that it does not comment on market rumors. Investigators are looking into why a Taiwanese military aircraft crashed over the weekend. While the pilot is safe, the aircraft is lost somewhere in the ocean. It sparked debates about how safe Taiwan's domestically made aircraft are, as this is the first incident of its kind. Jaime Ocon reports.
This is Taiwan's indigenous jet trainer, known as the AT-5 or the Brave Eagle. It's a domestically made aircraft used to train pilots, and on Saturday it suffered its first crash since entering service in 2021. Sources close to the Air Force say that a double engine failure caused the aircraft to go down in the ocean, though the pilot is safe. The entire fleet of roughly 40 aircraft has been grounded for inspection. But observers in Taiwan are not too concerned about the safety of the Brave Eagle. Compared to other jets like the French-made Mirage 2000 or the US-made F-16, made in Taiwan aircraft rarely face incidents.
It is the safest fighter jets in its entire fleet. Along with F-16s and the Mikash, you have the lowest incidence rates. So it's a very safe jet. So I wouldn't say that this would raise much concern.
The Brave Eagle is part of Taiwan's efforts to reduce its reliance on other countries like the US for weapons and defense equipment. More than half of the components for the jet are made in Taiwan. But when it comes to technical issues or complications, that's when Taiwan faces trouble, as it's hard for Taiwan to seek help from the international community because no one else flies these planes. The aircraft is often compared to the F-16, one of the most flown fighter jets in the world, with an established community to help troubleshoot problems.
你 F-16所有使用国，他们会组成一个类似像那个联盟。那这个联盟，你在你的使用上，你碰到一些任何的问题，你都可以丢到这个联盟里面去。会有其他国家，因为也许你在这边有问题，这些事情以前可能在别的国家就发生过。那这个时候，别的国家的人可能就告诉你，我们以前怎么解决的。
While troubleshooting it may be more difficult, some experts say that this doesn't mean Taiwan should abandon its domestic industry. The Air Force is still waiting for delivery of a total of 66 jet trainers. TaiwanPlus was invited by the military last year to see how they are used, with advanced flight simulators similar to the Brave Eagle helping to improve training.
What I'm saying now, if there's no reason to be overly alarmed. Next year, by the end of 2026, all these 66, now it's 65 advanced jet trainers, they will be delivered, play a crucial role in the training of Taiwan's fighter jet pilots.
In spite of the crash, analysts say that Taiwan's Air Force should think carefully about the investments it will have to make to ensure its domestically made aircraft have the parts, maintenance, and support they need.
你全地球只有你台湾用这个 AJT， 所以你所有的问题，你不但获得不了国际的解决，相对的，因为你这个飞机只生产这66架，所以你在未来30年，你的作业维持成本会非常麻烦。
While the investigation into Saturday's crash continues, Taiwan is alone in trying to find out what exactly happened. But as the country develops its own aircraft in pursuit of building up domestic defense industries, these lessons will have to be learned the hard way. John Su and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for tuning in to What's Up Taiwan. Visit our website to see more of our news reports and programs, or download our app to get updates on your mobile device. Finally, we head to Ukraine Fashion Week, taking place in Kyiv. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.